I'm serious though. I do think we should get a theme song for this.
Are you gonna write it?
No, because I'm not exactly a musical genius. Whereas you done the theme song for the podcast, and that's an epic piece of music. So
I think it'd be funny if you wrote it though.
do you want me to write it? It would just be like, would there be lyrics? Yeah, I'd have to put lyrics in it. And be like, yeah, welcome to Unscripted. This song was not scripted either. Yeah, and just me trying to play guitar, even though I've never played a day in my life.
You did write the theme for Beer Necessities.
Yeah, I quote unquote wrote that. Yes.
And if you don't know what that is, you should go listen to our podcast.
Yeah. So
who the hell are we?
Oh yeah. So obviously, welcome to Unscripted episode 3. And today's a bit of a change up, whereas the last time we've done the genre of games. Today we're doing a developer, publisher, a studio.
An entire publisher, developer / developer.
Studio, is that what you call it?
I guess so.
Yeah. We're going to do a studio. So tell us, Colin, what are we doing and why?
So today we will be talking about Konami.
Oh, Konami. Yes, this is...
They've been around a while.
Yeah, they have. And they're not exactly in everyone's popular books at the moment.
Well, yeah.
So we're going to try and find out why that is.
So, Konami was founded in 1969 in Osaka, in Japan.
69.
And do you know what they did in 69? Because there weren't many games knocking about.
69, sorry. Best number ever. What were they doing in 69 when there was no video games about?
Well, they were making jukeboxes.
I just can't put my...
Yeah, jukeboxes.
Jukeboxes. Oh.
Now, if you think about it, it's not that much of a leap.
It's because jukeboxes were in pubs and things like that, and then that's obviously where some arcade games ended up and things like that.
Yeah.
So they started off in the pub scene, I guess.
Yeah, so it was a man called, I'm going to butcher this name, Kagemasa Kozuki.
It doesn't
who
sound too
founded
butchered.
the company. You know, he's still the what position is he? He's still chairman of the board
Jesus.
to this day. And so yeah, he was running a small company that did jukebox rental and repair to, as you say, like bars and such.
That's crazy.
And it was in 1978. He decided to expand his business into coin-operated arcade machines.
Now, when we say expanded the business, did he decide, right, we're going to start making our own games, or is he just maybe maintaining systems that are already out there? What was...
Yeah, so in 1978, they decided jukeboxes weren't enough and started publishing, building, renting arcade machines.
So obviously there
Video
was...
game arcade machines.
Nah, still sticking with the pub scene. But they hadn't actually made their own game yet, so people were bringing their games to Konami saying, "Hi."
Yeah, so they're basically like a publisher, and published the arcade machines. That I'm guessing they would have done a lot of the manufacturing stuff in Japan.
Yeah.
So you'll probably have heard of their first big hit in the arcade.
What was Konami's first big hit?
Would have been Frogger.
Jesus, was that them? And what year?
Yeah, among others. Well, there are loads of different publishers, different regions within Japan.
What year was
Konami.
Frogger?
It was 1981.
81. Jesus. So definitely the arcade sensation was hitting in the early 80s. Like you had all the big hitters around there, like Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, things like that were really starting to kick off. So
Yeah. So like from Frogger, moving on. So throughout the 80s and the 90s, there's a lot of big Konami arcade machines. One you're bound to have played, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yes. Now obviously that was a big thing as well for the arcades, was licensed games.
Yeah.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, because I still at that cabinet. You had the 4 players, and each one of you would put your money in and you would press start on when there was obviously the 4 different sort of like controller layouts.
Yeah.
And your turtle was laid to your colour of controls. You wanted Leo, you press start on the blue start button.
Yeah, so it made it's a very unique arcade cabinet. So like you didn't see a lot of 4-player ones.
No.
And that character select is unique to say the least. Who was your character?
Oh, it was Leo every day of the week.
Oh, I'm a Mikey man.
Oh, wait, you see, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say Mikey's not cool or anything, but Leo, as he had 2 swords. When I was a kid, I seen 2 swords and went, yeah, Leo, he's cool. So yeah, I'm pretty sure anyone that's local to our little country is that there's a place, Port Rush, and there's a place called Sportsland, and up the back of Sportsland was where we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles machine, and I spent many a summer in there sinking money into that.
I wonder is it still there?
Oh, that'd be weird if it was.
What condition it would be in?
Oh, Jesus. It would not have seen much love, I guarantee that.
Yeah, but I love that game.
Brilliant.
But a couple other big hitters for Konami in the 80s, 90s. Obviously, side-scrolling shooters were a big deal. So, Gradius.
Oh, Gradius.
That's their big side-scrolling shooters.
Fantastic game as well. Yeah, I remember that. Tough as nails.
Stu, I heard you like Cowboys.
I do love Cowboys.
Do you remember Sunset Riders?
Oh, I knew you were going to. Sunset Riders was amazing. Oh, man. I always picked the guy with the two pistols because he could sort of shoot upwards and forwards at the same time. It was amazing. It was basically meant to be Billy the Kid. I loved that game.
There was a character that was in the arcade version that wasn't in the home version as well,
there was 4 players in the...
guy with a sombrero?
Yes. He was like a wee bandito, basically. But there was... I think, again, the arcade cabinet of Sunset Riders, I'm pretty sure was 4-player, whereas the Super Nintendo version was just the 2, and you could only pick between the 3 players.
Yeah.
So that was the big difference between... But then... I suppose obviously you're talking the difference between the arcades and the consoles. The consoles weren't able to match the arcades in power, like, so
yeah.
that's why there were sacrifices to be made. Even the likes of the Turtles, when it came to the consoles as well, there were sacrifices made.
Yeah. But yeah, hell of a game, Sunset Riders. And who can forget? Speaking of Konami's love of licensing, which we'll get into, The Simpsons.
That was them, wasn't it? I was thinking, I was like, was that them? It was amazing. Again, 4 players, you picked your family member, and it was just a weird thing that the Simpsons made such a good game for a side-scrolling beat-em-up.
It was good.
It was.
Do you know what the plot?
If I vaguely remember, Maggie ended up getting a diamond in her mouth, so Mr. Burns stole her. Okay,
so... Yeah, Maggie gets kidnapped by Smithers.
Yes.
Because she has a diamond.
Yeah.
And you chase Smithers through Springfield fighting all sorts of weird shit. And then you end up fighting Monty Burns in a mech suit.
In the mech suit, And I remember seeing that. Obviously, I never made it to the end because it was a brutally hard game. But I remember, obviously the arcade, you would let the screen play and it would show you later levels. I remember seeing Mr. Burns in the big mech suit and I was like, holy shit. But no, I never had the money to make it that far or the perseverance.
So we'll just stick with arcades and go forward through to the 90s here. So a big part of Konami's arcades, what they were putting out, became very focused on rhythm games.
Yes, that's right.
So everyone knows Dance Dance Revolution.
Yep, that was a big
Everyone's played that at some time. Beatmania.
Yep.
And one you may not know about because I don't think you saw it much around here anyway. But you will know of Guitar Hero.
Yes.
So Guitar Hero, not the first game to do the plastic guitar and play a song.
Right.
So that was an arcade game called Guitar Freaks.
Yeah, I remember.
There was also Drum Freaks.
Don't remember that now, but I remember when Guitar Hero was coming out, everyone was talking about this Guitar Freaks thing, and I remember just blowing it off, going, nah, I never heard of it, must have been good.
Yeah, but it is basically, it's Guitar Hero, plays more or less the same way. I think it only has 4 buttons, maybe. But yeah, and they're still making those to this day. I know we'll get into the state of Konami today, but they still do a lot of arcade stuff, especially those really gimmicky rhythm.
Oh, you still see those
machines.
everywhere you go. I think that's what you see more in arcades these days, more than the old school games. But like I say, we can get into that.
Yeah. Speaking of more around those gimmicky arcade machines, do you remember Silent Scope?
Oh, was that them?
That's a Konami one.
Oh my god, that was so good. Oh man.
So it was basically a light gun game that had a scale model of a PSG-1 sniper rifle with a working scope.
That was so cool.
Well, I say working scope, but there was a tiny wee screen in the scope, which was the zoomed-in view, and then you looked at the rest of the big screen to just look around from where you're perched. And another very gimmicky arcade machine, Police 24/7.
No, that one's not ringing a bell with me. Police
It
24/7.
was known as Police 911 in the US.
Okay.
It was a light gun shooter again,
Right, okay.
which had a motion sensor at the top of the cabinet and would actually detect if you were crouching. So you could dodge bullets
Yes!
and crouch behind cover in real time.
I didn't know that's what that was called. Yes, I remember seeing that. It was like you stood on like a mat and it would...
Yeah,
you leaned. The thing would lean with... Or the character would lean with you. That's right. Because I remember that being like a... I used to or think of that as like a moving version of Time Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like if you actually had to move with Time Crisis.
It was actually fun. Of
Never tried
what I
it.
remembered of when I played it. You could enjoy him like an idiot in the middle of a bowling alley. Yeah, so let's move on to the good stuff then.
Yeah,
What's
when
that?
Konami decided, right, enough of this sort of... Well, from the mid 80s when they were thinking, right, we're not just gonna...
Yeah, I messed up the timeline already.
It's okay,
but
it's okay.
I think it's...
No, it makes sense. You're gonna do the arcade
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
first, and now we're gonna move on when they decide, right, we're gonna start making games now. Let's do it for these consoles.
Let's
and
do
things.
consoles. And the very first console they released games for was the MSX.
The MSX. Okay. What on earth did Konami release on the MSX?
So, have you ever heard of the MSX?
That was around the time of the Spectrum and all that there, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe slightly before the NES. That sort of era.
Very early 80s.
Early, not too early.
Okay.
Early to mid late 80s. So it was mostly only in Japan,
Right.
and it's followed the MSX2. So starting out, what do they release? Release Frogger.
Of course.
Why not?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then they release in 1984. They start a series called Hyper Olympic.
Oh, is this what would then go on to become track and field?
It is very good.
Oh, thank you. You genuinely looked impressed with me there.
Yeah, I thought I would have got you one. Got you with that one. Went on to like go into more sports games. So you have tennis, golf, baseball, ping pong, football. Just called Konami, the name of sport. Oh, boxing as well.
Oh, of course.
So we were once again talking about their love of licensing. You can see that here as well. Cabbage Patch Kids on the MSX.
Right.
The Goonies.
Konami made a Goonies game on the MSX.
They did, yeah.
Jesus. We'll definitely have to find some footage of that.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot you had to find footage for these.
Oh, don't worry. I'm very good at finding footage. Thanks for talking about this. It'll give me a bit of extra time to find Goonies footage.
There was a Gradius version, or a version of Gradius on the MSX, and then have you heard of Qbert?
Of course.
That's one of theirs.
Right.
On
Didn't
the
know.
MSX. Never played it myself.
It was a very odd little puzzle game. I know that obviously got a remaster a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, it was like it was like a square platform, and you were the little round dude with a stupid
Big long
nose.
out. That's it. And you had to sort of you jumped on the cubes and it turned to your colour, and you had to obviously do that without getting hit by the enemies.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the idea of Qbert.
So if we move on to the MSX2, though, things get a little bit more exciting. So this is... Have you ever heard of a guy called Hideo Kojima?
Oh.
Control yourself.
Have I ever heard of him? He's only a wee bit of a legend in the industry right enough.
Oh, I thought you were going to... If you really want to hear Stu's opinions on Hideo Kojima, there is a podcast you could listen to.
Don't. I was quite intoxicated.
But yeah, 1986, the proper version of like the original Metal Gear comes out on the MSX2.
So that was the first
And
thing Metal Gear.
that is the first thing Metal Gear came out.
Jesus, because I always thought Metal Gear started on the NES.
No, that was a port of this game.
There you go. I just learned something. So did you?
I've only ever played the NES version, but apparently it's not as good as this version. Actually, I'm lying. I have played the MSX version because it's been released in collections and stuff.
Of course.
But when I was playing the original, I was way too young to know what's a good game. I just knew this game was way too hard.
I would say, actually, because he was a man that did not mind challenging people. Plus, as we spoke about on a previous one of these, early game developers loved punishing people.
Yeah, and we were all little kids, the big bullying bastards.
They wanted to make us cry.
Now you've got all these like hand-holdy modes that guide the kids through, and they're going to grow up to be no good at games at all.
That's why they look at Bloodborne, play one bit and go, no, the hell with it. Anyway.
So, just lastly on the MSX2, another notable addition to its library you might have heard of, Contra.
Is that where Contra started as well?
That's where Contra started.
Contra is the best way I can describe Contra, it is the manliest of manly games. Like,
there's a lot of
manliness.
Vascular men
with
just no shirts on.
No, it was just, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, let's go shoot them. Simple as that. No explanations needed.
You don't get more simple. Another really tough game.
A very tough game as well. Especially some of them bosses were absolutely nasty.
I assume your experience is coming from the NES version again.
Yeah, exactly. I never knew that that this is where these games started on this MSX2.
Yeah.
I just assumed that Konami made their big break on the NES.
Well, let's move on to the NES then.
Fair dues.
So they first started making games for the MSX in 1983. First NES game didn't come out till 1985.
Mm-hmm.
Where they released Track and Field that year. That's really the only one of note to me, anyway. So I'm not even gonna bother.
But there's one thing we have to mention about those Track and Field games. They taught you to move your fingers really, really fast. No matter how much pain you were feeling, you had to keep tapping, or your little dude was going to come in last in the race. And there was nothing worse than being like in front for the whole race and then just falling at the last hurdle. It was just disheartening.
They should make you play with a dance mat, since they do both.
That would be actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so we had a version of Goonies. There's a lot of stuff that was on the MSX that was also on the
just ported over
the NES. But first real big, I would say this is Konami's biggest, maybe not, for number of games. I'm talking about Castlevania.
Of course, I knew that's what we were leading up to, and I would actually agree that I think it's one of their biggest series. I mean,
yeah, Metal Gear doesn't have a Netflix show.
That's true. That is very true, actually. That is very fucking true. As good as Metal Gear is, it didn't get a Netflix show. A very good Netflix show, I thought.
Yeah.
That was a rock solid game as well.
Yeah. Another tough one. Konami loved making good games. And they had this, you always knew the Konami games, they always had this sound.
Yes.
A very distinct sound to the Konami games. And it'll be good if you can get some different...
I'll see what I can do.
A few different ones there.
I'll see what I can do.
So maybe people can know what we're talking about. It's very almost mechanical sounding, like clanking metal and stuff. And I think the UI stuff around that era, all their games sort of had that same sort of look and feel to them.
You knew when you were playing a Konami game, like?
Yeah. Which maybe raises the question is, like, what way were they developing? How much copy pasting was going on there? Which maybe Konami always was the company they are today, but we're just realizing it now. Who knows?
Well, the only reason I remember thinking this a few years back, I know I'm jumping a wee bit ahead here, but it was definitely a NES game that was released around the same time as Castlevania. And I only heard about this game because of a Castlevania HD. It was like this weird 6-player Castlevania game on the 360.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was a level you downloaded later on, and it was another Konami game, but you could play the Castlevania characters in it. And you could just see the sprites had been ripped straight out of Castlevania and put into this other game. And I was like, right, okay, Konami were a bit lazy that day.
Maybe just a wee bit. So moving on, a few other games. They released another Goonies game. There's just a follow up to Goonies if you're into that.
Jesus.
So more on sort of their Jesus, what's the word I'm looking for?
What is the word you're looking
Licensing.
for? Licensing. Oh, right, they're back to that again.
So we got they released a King Kong game. I think that may have only been in Japan though.
Right.
Top Gun.
Right.
Skate or Die totally counts because that's a skating magazine, I'm pretty sure. More Top Gun. And obviously the Turtle games.
Yes, they obviously got put onto the NES and things like that.
Yeah, so there was three Turtle games on the NES anyway. I had the first one. Once again, another very hard game.
Yeah, oh yeah. Again, that was just Konami at it again.
But like you'll always hear people refer to the dam level. Have you ever played?
I do remember trying to get through.
So this is where you have to defuse a bunch of bombs in an underwater level where you're turtle swimming. There's some sort of electrified seaweed everywhere. There's weird electrified gates that are timed. Back when I played this when I was a kid, I had no trouble with that.
No
at
way.
all. So I did not understand people's...
No,
I'm not saying I was amazing at the game. I never finished it. I ended up getting stuck and didn't know where to go. But I never had a problem with that dam level.
That dam level used to do, especially just you mentioned the electric seaweed. That's what.
Do you remember the noise it would make when you get hit? That sort of almost like a gunshot or something. You'll find it and you'll play it.
I'll find it.
Yeah, so that was I love that game as well. Still doing licensing, so we've got Tiny Toons.
Is that them as well?
Yep.
Bloody well, actually, now that I think, since we started, I'm going to think about all the licensed games I know and go, that was probably Konami now.
Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge. Oh yeah.
Oh, that just sounds too similar to Lee Parcello's putting challenge. Lee Carvello, sorry.
Do you remember Bucky O'Hare?
I do remember Bucky O'Hare.
Bucky O'Hare game.
I did not know he got a game.
They did a Star Trek game.
Jesus.
They did 2 more Tiny Toons.
I was expecting 2 more Goonies there.
Does Noah's Ark count?
Noah's Ark? Was that the one that used the Doom engine?
No.
There was a Noah's Ark that used the Doom engine?
Yeah, I remember that. That couldn't... You should check up on that.
I'm going to do research on that.
There you go. If you're listening, you've got some homework. Is that Noah's Ark game on that Doom engine one?
That was crazy.
Formula 1 games.
Yep.
Batman Returns.
Oh, I remember that.
And that's all I have for now on the NES anyway. Yeah, so definitely a lot of licensing going on.
Oh, big time.
There was a version of Sid Meier's Pirates. Did you ever play that?
I have not played it, but I know of it. I did not know it made it to the NES.
Yeah, neither did I. That was a surprise to me when I was looking up this stuff.
And was that published by Konami?
Yeah.
Jesus.
How
would that have even played on the NES?
Badly.
Aye. I'm assuming so. I bet you it looks horrible.
It's like turn-based sort of.
Yeah.
I suppose it could work. I mean, they also had... I think this was turn-based, a game called Defender of the Crown.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I do remember that, yeah. You had the jousting and all that there, and then you had the wee sort of side-scrolly bits where you had the wee stabby sort of...
Yeah, I never actually played it, but I remember seeing the magazines and really wanting it for some reason.
I think
it's because it was sort of really story-driven, wasn't it?
And the jousting. Everyone wanted the joust.
Jousting.
Yeah!
Sorry. Give me a sword. I don't know, 2 guys with big bits of wood running at each other and a horse just seems stupid.
Test of manliness.
So obviously there was Contra on the NES, the version everyone played. We also had Super C, which is the follow-up to Contra.
Super C. Oh yeah, of course.
Which isn't on the Super Nintendo, which seems weird. And as we mentioned, there's a version of Metal Gear.
Yep.
Now, the MSX had Metal Gear 2.
Yep.
While the NES had a completely different sequel called Snake's Revenge.
Yes.
That
was built from the ground up for the NES, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that wasn't a port.
No. I do remember hearing about that now.
So yeah, and then obviously you have the was it 3 Castlevania games altogether?
Yes.
Simon's Revenge.
Simon's Quest, wasn't it?
Or Simon's Quest, yeah.
Yeah.
Got revenge in the head. And then Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse.
Good game.
Yeah, so definitely strong on the NES.
Yeah, Konami have hit the ground running with their games, like, so they have definitely...
The number of games they're releasing at this point, like, they haven't even really scratched the surface. There's a lot. And as we move on to the Super Nintendo, and I guess the Mega Drive,
there was a big difference between the amount of Konami games on the Nintendo and the Sega systems, though.
yeah, so there wasn't a lot coming out on the Sega stuff.
No, Konami and Sega weren't exactly... I don't know why, but they weren't exactly the best of friends for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it's because, if rumours are to be believed, Sega were wanting the likes of Castlevania and things like that for their Master System, and Konami were like, no, we just can't do it. Your system.
Yeah, they didn't release anything on the Master System. No games at all.
They basically didn't like the way the Master System, whatever way the internals of it worked or something. They couldn't program it properly.
There was some differences which, like, this never happens anymore. Just to jump ahead a bit, so obviously the Super Nintendo got Super Castlevania 4, and then the Mega Drive got Castlevania Bloodlines.
Yes.
A completely different game. I don't think that actually came out over here.
I don't believe so.
Because it's one of those games everyone always wanted to play.
Yep.
But
and if you have a copy, you're holding on to a very valuable game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So same as well with the Turtles game. So there was a 4th Nintendo Turtles game, Turtles in Time.
Ah, an amazing game.
Which is an amazing game. But then the Mega Drive got one called the Hyperstone Heist.
I don't think I even played or saw even that.
Yeah. But it's weird you've got 2 completely independently developed games on 2 consoles. Even in the Turtles coming out in the same year. There was no real...
From the same company as well.
Yeah, there was no, let's release this on multiple consoles. So I think like Sunset Riders came out on the Mega Drive.
Did it?
It did, yeah, I had it.
Jesus. I just remembered for the SNES.
But I think it came out on the Mega Drive first. According to my notes, it did anyway.
Oh, there you go.
But then the Mega Drive got a few things that didn't appear on Nintendo consoles. This one probably for obvious reasons that you can guess, Lethal Enforcers.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the full motion video
Yep.
light gun game where you shot guys because you're a cop and that's what cops do. Shoot people.
Yep. Especially for jaywalking.
Yeah. And then do you remember Rocket Knight?
Oh yes, I do remember Rocket Knight.
So that's Konami.
Fuck, I didn't know that was him. He's like the wee dog and...
Sparkster.
Aye.
What was he?
Was he a...
Fucking wallaby or...
I thought he was like a Dutch hound or something.
I have no idea what he was. But anyway. Yeah, so that was another... There was two of those that came out on the Genesis. Genesis? Mega Drive.
Aye. Make sure you say that right.
I don't know why I said Genesis.
Jesus. For the benefit of our American viewers.
Sure. So meanwhile, on the Super Nintendo, I start calling it the Super Famicom. Actually, I'm a liar. Lethal Enforcers did come out on the Super Nintendo. So it's a lot of continuing of their established series. So we have Gradius, more Contra, more Castlevania.
Super Contra, wasn't it? Because you had Super C on the NES, and I'm pretty sure it was Super Contra then on the Super Nintendo.
You could be right.
That's pretty badass. I remember playing it.
I also made a mistake. That's Castlevania Bloodlines isn't the one that didn't come out. It was a Super Nintendo game called Dracula X. That's the mythical, fabled one.
Right.
That was really towards the end of this generation. But let's run through a few more things on the SNES. So they published Prince of Persia.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that was that everywhere?
Do
you know?
No. If I'm not mistaken, that was Europe only, I think. It was only in Europe they published Prince of Persia. Because actually, I do remember reading about that going, what?
They, like in their licenses again, they scored the NFL license and released the NFL football game. When I was looking up this stuff, I was actually surprised by how many sports games and stuff they're doing. Because from here, they keep going with other franchises as well. Obviously, we have the Sunset Riders version for SNES, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters.
Oh yeah,
which is very popular.
Very good game. Very good game.
A few more licensing ones. We had Adventures of Batman and Robin, which I'm pretty sure was the animated.
Yes,
series.
It was the animated series.
An Animaniacs game.
Yeah. I don't remember the Animaniacs.
I'm pretty sure I played that.
Okay, platformer, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And then Biker Mice from Mars.
Oh dear.
Now, I'm trying to remember Biker Mice from Mars. Was that the really shitty like racing, almost like an F-Zero type game, or is that a different game?
I did not know they made this, but I would assume it's either a scroll and beat 'em up or some type of weird racing game. I'm assuming it's one of those two things.
That racing game was fucking awful. I think it was kind of going for an F-Zero type of feel,
right?
But Jesus,
I would have expected more Road Rash if it was going to try and be a racing type thing.
Yeah, no, but it is a cartoon after all.
Oh yeah, of course.
1994 on the SNES, there was start of another big franchise for them, which at the time is called International Superstar Soccer.
I was waiting for that. Yes.
And what would that become?
That would become Pro Evolution.
Yeah.
I remember playing International Superstar Soccer Deluxe on the SNES.
Ooh.
And the only reason it was Deluxe is because it had indoor football. And that was good fun. So it was. But yeah, ISS, that's what it started life as. And then ISS obviously on the Pro.
Yeah, I played a lot of Pro Evolution through the years.
So 94 is when that franchise started then?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the same year FIFA started.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The first FIFA, because it was just called FIFA Soccer.
The beginning of the fabled rivalry.
First big one.
Which was always one-sided.
It kind of was, yeah.
When it comes to sales.
Sadly, yeah.
So you don't need to make a good game. People just want the actual names on the shirts. That's all they want.
Well, the early FIFA games weren't actually that bad. Like, we're talking like the Mega Drive and SNES FIFA games weren't too
the ones
shallow.
you could sprint up the sideline just holding down the shoot button, and then once you got to the corner, release the button and it just flies in.
Just absolutely no physics at all. Just woof. But I'm pretty sure the early pros were kind of the same as well.
It may have been. I think Pro Evolution has always been, the ISS has always been sort of the more realistic representation of football.
Yep.
Even back then.
Aye, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so Lethal Enforcers 2, that came out in the Mega Drive, but not
Mega
the
Drive,
SNES.
not the SNES. Right.
Yeah, so we, as I said, we get a NBA game. And yeah, that pretty much covers everything I got for that generation.
That's the 16-bit era.
Yeah, no, not quite.
Oh, not quite.
Sega did, release
a CD and a 32X.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got a couple of games for Mega CD.
Right.
So Lethal Enforcers and Lethal Enforcers 2. Which we already talked about, but I thought to mention them. They haven't played themselves, but that makes much more sense for putting that stuff on a CD.
On a CD, yeah, big time.
Because of the audio and such. And then a game called Snatcher.
Okay, never even heard of it.
So that's I think that's the sort of visual novel type one by Hideo Kojima that he did before.
Right.
Metal Gear.
Okay, I'll definitely have to try some footage of that then. Mega CD Snatcher. That's going to be a good search.
Let me just... Oh, dear God. I'm going to search it right now.
Okay, you're going to look for it right now? Oh, dear.
There it is.
Okay, you're right. It literally is a visual novel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the one I'm thinking. It's all cyberpunk.
Oh, okay.
And it's a visual novel. It may have also had light gun game type, or am I thinking of the other one he did? Police Notes?
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one. This is very informative. You didn't come here for that. You came here to listen to us blunder through this.
Yep. And maybe learn something.
Right, so moving on. We're in the mid-90s now.
Yep.
So sticking with... Right, so actually there was a big shift here in the 90s, 95. So, do you know what of significance happened in 95?
Well, you're talking the acceleration of the 3D became a big thing.
So what came out?
The PlayStation. You had... Was the Saturn still kicking at that stage?
Well, yeah, that's when it came out.
The Saturn came out in 95?
Yeah, I think so.
Holy shit, it was behind the times before it even got released then, wasn't it?
No, it came out alongside like the PlayStation.
No, I mean power-wise.
Oh yeah, that was this big problem. We could probably do an hour show on that. Do Sega. No, but what I'm hitting at here is like, so obviously the PlayStation came out.
Yeah. Game changer.
Also in the N64.
Was it 96?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
mid-90s.
The big turning point here is Konami started making games for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like nobody's business.
Yep.
And the Nintendo stuff started to dry up a bit.
Yeah. It was the big change, I think, from cartridge to CD. That was the big game changer for Konami.
And I think it's just Konami going where the install base is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Once again, the money comes first.
Mm-hmm.
That's
there's a pattern. There's a pattern coming here.
So starting with the N64, because there's not much to really say about the N64 stuff. It's really just more continuation of series. So you got more licensed stuff. So you got NBA, NHL. Then you got a couple of Castlevania games come out here as well.
They weren't that good.
They weren't. This is where Castlevania
starts getting a bit of a thump. Well, see, it's like
but at the same time,
exactly,
it may have also had its best game on the. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah,
okay. So ISS, International Superstar Soccer, gets more.
ISS 64, wasn't it?
Games, 64, and then 2000.
Jeez,
which was released in 99. And there was a Mahjong game. Okay. They probably have loads of those. I'm pretty sure there are.
Probably.
Obviously, I didn't write down every single Mahjong game.
You'd be there forever.
So on the PlayStation, it's a lot of continuation of series. They're well into their licensing here again. So NBA. We've got an international track and field came out on the PlayStation. We've got a Contra game.
The Contra on the PlayStation, I remember, wasn't great. Tried to go 3D.
You never want to go 3D.
Yeah.
Well, not for Contra anyway.
Not for Contra.
But Gradius came out.
Yep. Again, that went 3D.
A golf game.
Right. That's what it was called. A golf game by Konami.
They released Snatcher again.
Right.
And also Police Knots, which is just so that came out on the PlayStation.
Yep.
And then we come to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is what we were hinting at earlier.
Oh my god, hey.
Is it the best one?
It's my personal favourite. It's definitely my personal favourite. It's just, as we were just saying like a moment ago, it's so weird that the N64 gets its own Castlevania, and it's to be polite about it, it was not good. Yeah,
they made that let's go 3D mistake again.
Yeah. And then with the PlayStation, they're like, we'll stick with 2D, but now we're going to sort of borrow a wee bit from Super Metroid here, and boom, we have a whole genre. It's now what do they call it?
Metroidvania.
Metroidvania. I mean, holy. the voice acting was still cheesy, but I'll never forget playing through Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the first time. And I don't know about you, but when I played it the first time, I just killed Richter and thought, yeah, the game's done. I did not learn about this upside down castle.
Oh, upside down castle.
For
so
like
fucked up.
Holy shit, I didn't learn that for like maybe months afterwards. I was in school and the mate was telling me about it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I went straight home and started playing Castlevania again just to try and get this upside down castle.
Yeah. It just shows like, I know like 3D was new. Everyone's playing with this new toy. But like all the 3D games made of this period, like who's playing Castlevania 64 today?
No.
But people will still be playing Symphony of the Night.
I've played through it this year alone. I know that for a fact. Brilliant game. Obviously, Konami's role was going to keep going here on the PlayStation.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's our peak in Castlevania. Downhill from here, lads. So yeah, you got more International Superstar Soccer. Now they've added a pro to the end.
Oh,
just a pro.
Just a pro.
So
we know where that started then.
And in so if we go along to 1988, this is where things get a little bit more exciting.
That's where shits get real.
This is where Metal Gear Solid comes out.
Yep. Holy shit, what a release that was. Again, Konami were kings of the castle.
One of the defining games of the generation.
Oh, one of
again.
If you owned a PlayStation.
That's two.
Yeah.
Two, like,
Must
game
owns.
of the generation contenders there.
If you owned a PlayStation, you had to have Metal Gear and you had to have Symphony of the Night. Like, there was no point owning a PlayStation without them.
Oh, yeah. They released a Yu-Gi-Oh game in 1998 as well, which could be the first time that a video game of Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not sure what year Yu-Gi-Oh actually started, but because Konami actually owns Yu-Gi-Oh,
Jesus,
the card game.
Right. Didn't know that now.
Yeah. Which I've played once.
Right.
Didn't like it. And then, so another change we see here with these new consoles, they start bringing the Dance Dance Revolution games and
yes.
the other...
All peripherals and all for the consoles now.
So all those shitty fucking mouse mats.
Arcade
mouse
action
mats?
in your home.
Dance mats.
They may as well be mouse mats.
And then you be dancing on them and they all fold up and you get tangled on your feet and you fall and you smack your head on the coffee table and you bleed everywhere.
Yep. That was my Thursdays.
Thanks, Konami. And there was a Guitar Freaks home version as well. I'm not sure if it came out over here.
Doubt it. I would have known about that. There you go.
And then, also in 1989, there was a very survival horror game.
Bit of a big deal for someone here.
And that is, of course, Soul of the Samurai.
You did it to me again! Again, you did it to me!
Now, did you ever play this?
No.
I got a feeling if I tried to play it, it would be completely unplayable. But it was kind of like survival horror samurai. I know you're thinking Onimusha.
Yeah.
Didn't play anywhere near as well as Onimusha, but it kind of was Onimusha before Onimusha happened, before Capcom did that.
Yeah.
So it was like weird zombie samurai, and you were a guy, and it just controlled like Resident Evil. Now, I believe that around this time, Konami was dead set on, like, Resident Evil happened, that's really popular, we need one of those.
Yeah, we got to do
and
that.
they were trying their shit. So I think this was one of their... it was called Ronin Blade over here, if that rings a bell.
Yeah. That does.
I had it.
Never played it, though.
It's not a good game, though.
Okay.
But like they were trying to capture this magic that Capcom had done.
And as we discussed, Capcom were run away with it as well. There was no competition for them.
Yeah. And we'll get into later, like, Konami's sort of business practice and the way they treat their employees. But apparently they took a bunch of, like, random employees who had nothing else to do and threw them into a team called Team Silent, and said, make a Resident Evil clone for us. Do it now. And what they came out with was Silent Hill. And all was right with the world.
Yep. Game and Gold was made that year. I will never forget. I was second year, I think, and I was coming home, and we'd picked the wee brother up, and he was all, we got that game that you were talking about. And I was like, oh, which one? And he was like, oh, that Silent one. And I was like, no way. And I remember getting home and getting so excited because Silent Hill was in my house. And then it wasn't Silent Hill. I don't know what the hell it was. I was so disappointed. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I ran out to Virgin or Extra Virgin and rented Silent Hill. I was so upset.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite series. It's not like the first one's not the best in the series, but it started out
still.
and it's still amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't played it, you should go play it.
Totally should.
If we have more time, we could sit here and talk about Silent Hill for hours.
Easily. That could be in a future episode.
We need to keep pushing on.
We do.
For now. So we're up to 2000 now, and we get another football game. So this one is called ISS. So they've taken away International Superstar Soccer, and it's just called ISS Pro. Mm-hmm. And then they've added Evolution.
Oh my god!
So we're pretty much there.
We are pretty.
There's
much
one more thing to happen, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Did you ever play that Mummy game? They did that.
The Mummy game?
That's awful.
Oh, like the Brendan Fraser Mummy?
Yeah, I think so.
Fuck.
I think that
they did move over their licensing, didn't they?
So many Beatmania and Dance Dance Revolution games. Of course. Jesus, there's so many of them. We had Castlevania Chronicles getting towards the end of the generation now, so it's all sort of fizzling out. Okay, so let's move on to the PlayStation 2.
Oh, so we're talking early 2000s here.
Yep. And let's just get straight in there. There's the usual more rhythm games, fucking ports of Gradius. And
yep. Gradius on the PS2, Jesus.
Yep.
Okay.
2001
right.
was a very, very important year.
Okay.
They released Frogger, The Great Quest.
Very important. Is that when Frogger started wearing like a t-shirt and stuff? They tried to make him like a mascot.
I have no idea.
I do remember.
I just saw that in the list above the game that I meant to say. But
okay.
They also released Crash Bandicoot. Apparently, they distributed Crash Bandicoot. I'm guessing in Japan.
I'm guessing so. Yeah. That's when I'm guessing Naughty Dog let Crash go.
Yeah, who? Activision.
Activision took over, and I'm guessing Konami published them in Japan. Yeah. Didn't know
that. Yeah, so of course talking about Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yep.
Sons of Liberty.
Big game.
Where they pulled the rug out from everyone.
Yep.
And introduced everyone to Raiden.
And everyone went, what the fuck is it?
Everyone hated him.
Everyone did hate him. I remember being raging that I wasn't Snake anymore. But I don't know if this is true. I don't know how much you know about this. But apparently there was... Metal Gear Solid 2 was apparently finished at one stage.
Yeah.
And again, rumours say that in the original Metal Gear 2 story... Snake blew up the Twin Towers.
There was something... I don't think he blew up the two towers. I think the final battle took place and you could see the towers.
Right.
Or they were in the shot or the Metal Gear Arsenal might have been supposed to crash into them and then they fought at the bottom of that or something like that. I don't think it was blown up and that they decided to take it out because it was...
See, I heard that
was what it was.
I heard that was a whole rewrite then, and that's for the whole Raiden thing and all came in then.
No, I don't think. I think Raiden was always supposed to be there from the start. That's a very, very Kojima thing to do.
I suppose that's true, yeah. And Snake called himself Pliskin.
He did.
That was actually
Uruguay cool. Pliskin. What kind of name is Uruguay? Sorry to all the Uruguays out there.
Sorry.
So also in 2001, we finally get it. Pro Evolution Soccer.
Hey!
No ISS. We dropped it. It's just Pro Evo now. Do you remember Shadow of Memories? It was a PlayStation 2 launch game. It was the weird one where you're in this little town and you had there's weird time travel angle to it and you were trying to stop someone from dying. I can't quite remember who.
Vaguely remember.
And you did things and then it would have consequences.
Yes.
And then you go back and do it again or something.
Was that them?
That was a Konami game, yeah.
Okay.
And then we had one of my favourite games of all time, Silent Hill 2.
Yep, big game.
Oh, yeah. One of the best.
Hasn't aged a day.
No.
It is still playable to this day. It still looks fantastic for a game that's, 17 years old now?
You want to look at a game that looks fantastic despite its age, look at Silent Hill 3.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah.
I don't know, that's to the tail end of this generation, and they got so much out of that console.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
They knocked it out of the park with
I
that,
remember
didn't
seeing Silent Hill 3 for the first time and being like, really? That's a PlayStation 2 game?
they? Mm.
Oh, it just looks so fantastic.
It looked at home on the HD PS3 collection. It actually just looked like like an early PS3 game. It was a good looking game, Silent Hill 3.
And another game that was released that year was Zone of the Enders.
Oh, Jesus. That was a bit of a big deal. I remember that there was a bit of a cult following for that one.
Yeah, yeah. I remember it only people going nuts for it because it had the Metal Gear 2 demo boxed with it. I think that's why most people bought it. I'm guessing they knew exactly what they were at when they were doing that.
Yeah. But the Zone of the Enders did turn out to have good reviews and things like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game. So moving on, we got a lot of sports games in this generation.
Of course.
They scored themselves an ESPN license and they used it.
That's our Konami.
Winter sports, winter games, snowboarding, NBA.
Jesus.
Yeah, motocross. That's a new one. But yeah, that's a lot of sports games and a lot more rhythm games.
Yeah, of course, as always with our Konami.
They could be the. Wonder do they make the most rhythm games?
Oh, they're bound to have it this
in
rate.
the arcade. I would imagine so.
Well,
do you remember a Castlevania game called Lament of Innocence
I own that game.
on PlayStation 2?
I do own that game. That's when you played as Leon Belmont. It was 3D, and the end boss was not Dracula. The end boss was Death.
Oh.
Because you've seen how Dracula... According to this is how Dracula came about. You've seen how... Dracula was also a Belmont.
Oh, yeah, because they did that in the
Yes.
later games as
In
well.
the reboot series, the Shadow of something. What did you call that again?
We'll get to it.
Yeah. Lord of Shadows. There we go.
That's the one. God, they made a Tour de France game. And
I thought you
horse racing games.
I thought you said Turd de France. I was like, what?
Like every year they're putting out like dozens and dozens of games now. And this is just a one console we're looking at. This is the PlayStation 2. We obviously Zone of the Enders had a sequel as well in 2003. Do you remember Metal Gear Solid 2
Substance.
And then there was an Xbox one as well, which was called
Subsistence.
Subsistence. Yeah.
Had the skateboard and shit on it.
Yep, it did.
Yeah. Don't.
Weird fucking shit. Huh?
Yeah, I think that's where Konami did they do another Skate or Die in 3D or something, and they wanted to sort of try and show off the engine, so they added the mini game into the Metal Gear Solid. I think.
Yeah. Do you remember? It was. I don't remember this, but a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game
On the PS2?
on the PS2.
No.
Apparently 2 of them.
Jesus.
Yeah, well that happened.
Okay. There wasn't even films or anything around at that stage, so I don't know what that would have been about.
So moving on in 2004, we have Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yep, big game as well.
Great game. Silent Hill 4 The Room came out. So them two series sort of lining up. Oh, did I mention Silent Hill 3?
We did. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the year before.
Yeah.
So they managed to squeeze out a Silent Hill game
Jesus, in a
in a year.
You can see as much. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy The Room, but you can see the production value is down a bit.
It's of those Team Silent games. It is the weakest. After 2, it does go downhill.
Yeah. 3's still a great game.
I still like all of them. I really.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're. I'm not trying to say they're even remotely bad games. They are not. It's just, it just seems 4 was the rushed child to get out there. I think before the PlayStation 2 came to an end.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. Of course, we had big head.
So moving on again. 2005, we have more Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence.
Yes.
We have a lot more rhythm games. There's another Castlevania game, Curse of Darkness.
That was a bad game. I played that one. That was very bad.
So I've never played this.
Awful. I can't even remember the name of the character, but it was meant to be basically like an a la carte type character. He used the sword and stuff, but the camera angle was awful, the controls were clunky, and just a bad game. This is when people thought Castlevania was done. This was it. People thought, right, that's done.
Yeah. And are you familiar with the manga series Gantz? No, that would be lost on you. There was a Gantz game released. I don't think it made it outside of Japan.
Oh, okay.
But if you want a recommendation for a good manga, go read Gantz.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get footage of that game.
It's very fucking... It is brutal. Also that year they released a wrestling game called Rumble Roses.
Oh, fuck, that was them! That's right! Jesus!
It was the boob wrestling.
I never played it, but I don't know if it was any good either.
I don't think it was.
Probably not. Then there was Rumble Roses XX and things like that. Yeah.
I got a feeling though were they developed by Ukes, the guys that at the time did the WWE games as well?
I think they may have done, because obviously at this stage you're talking the early 2000 or the mid 2000s here. Or wouldn't have been Ukes doing the WWE games anymore. It would have been Thing took over. What do you call them now?
2K?
No, it wouldn't have been 2K at that stage. It was still was it THQ's own in team then, or was it THQ Ukes? So I think it was some of the ex-Ukes guys went off to make this Rumble Roses.
Oh, right.
I think that's what it was. Because then they also made that Def Jam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually a decent game.
It is.
So sticking on the PlayStation 2, we're getting into sort of late, late generation. They got the Bleach license and made a couple of Bleach games.
Okay.
None of them I played.
Same.
We've got Yu-Gi-Oh games, we've got Dance Dance Revolution games, we've got Pro Evo, we got Beatmania. There's a couple of our Silent Hills again. So Silent Hill Origins, which I'm pretty sure also came out in the PSP.
PSP, yeah. Good game.
And Shattered Memories. Did you ever play that? That's actually good.
Shadow Memories?
Shattered Memories.
Silent Hill
Shattered Memories. It's
yes.
the reboot one.
Yes.
With all the sort of icy stuff going on, and it's a very different take on Silent Hill, but it's still very, very good.
And again, if you have a copy of that, you're holding on to a very expensive game.
Yeah, because it was designed as a Wii game originally, and there's not a lot of PS2 copies knocking about.
Nope.
So if you got one, you should look up and see.
Or give it to us so we can play it.
Yeah, well, I have played it. I borrowed a Wii to play it.
Okay.
Because that's how much I like Silent Hill. I'm gonna keep going through the PlayStation stuff because conscious of time, and let's be honest, they weren't doing much on any other console.
No, they actually weren't. They didn't do a lot on the Cube or even the Xbox, apart from the Metal Gears.
Yeah.
The Silent Hills didn't even make it to the original Xbox.
Silent Hill 2 definitely did.
Did it?
There was an Xbox version of that.
Oh, okay.
So if we move on a generation to the PlayStation 3, we're starting to see these annual lists. Like, I'm just looking at the full list of what their yearly releases, and these are starting to get a lot shorter. We're still, obviously, every year we still got a Pro Evolution coming out, but then other stuff, there's a lot less dancing games. And yeah, this is, I think, PlayStation 3 eras where they really start to, wind down on their output, which may not necessarily always a bad thing. You're putting out too many shitty games.
That's true.
This generation of note, we had Metal Gear Solid 4, which is a great game.
It was a good game. Had the annoying install base and things like that, but it was a good game. It was.
It's Silent Hill Homecoming, which was I think is the first Silent Hill that went out to a Western developer. And it's nope.
It tried to be 2, I think. It was trying too hard to do the 2 thing.
Yeah.
And it failed miserably. Plus the main character just was not likable at all.
Yeah. So throughout this generation, they're still making Bleach games as well.
Okay.
Still picking up licenses as well, because we've got a Saw game.
Jesus.
We've got Def Jam Rapster, which I'm thinking was a rapping
It
game.
was, yes.
Where you rap.
I remember being raging because I seen Def Jam and I was like, oh, here we go. And no, it was not a new Def Jam game. Not the Def Jam game I wanted where I could throw Sean Paul through a window.
So Castlevania this generation. So this is where it reboots.
This is Lord of Shadows in.
So we got Lord of Shadows and Lord of Shadows 2.
Now, these are very weird games because if you took away the word Castlevania from those games, they'd be considered great. So they would.
Okay.
But because people think of them as Castlevania games, there's some people who give them shit. Because in the first game, you don't even, like, spoiler alert, I guess, but in the first Castlevania game, you do not fight Dracula because you become Dracula.
Mm.
And then in the second game, you are Dracula in the modern day and age. Like, you are Dracula running around our day and time.
Right.
I genuinely enjoyed them. I didn't think they were bad games. But a lot of reviews give them shit, but I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Like, the combat in them was fucking phenomenal.
I've never played them myself.
I'd recommend giving them a go. 3D action game.
I don't remember hearing anything about them ever being terrible, though.
No, some people just give the fact that, oh, it's Castlevania, but it's not really Castlevania, so I don't give a shit. And you're like, nah, but it's still a good game, so wind your neck in. It's just saying, like.
That's one way of putting it.
I thought they were good games. And the fact that when you're, especially the second one, when you were playing as Dracula, like, you were ripping boys' throats out and all to keep yourself going. And then you had, like, these weird wee stealth sections where you would, like, turn into mist and rats and bats and things. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's the Castlevania stuff. We also there was another place or Silent Hill game this generation.
Oh dear, this is
what was it called again?
Downpour.
Downpour.
Oh my god.
That may have been worse again.
It was worse again. Like, the worst thing you could do is put a jump button into Silent Hill.
Yeah, what's that all about?
There's no need for that. I know it just sounds so trivial, but it just made they didn't have the greatest control system in Homecoming, and they just went and made it glitchier and worse with Downpour by trying to add, like, jumping puzzles and so bad.
On a lighter note, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
No, I have actually played that, and that is not a bad game.
That's a good game. That is, they went out and got Platinum.
Yes.
Who make
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta, yeah. And it is a bunch of guys who once made Devil May Cry,
yes,
and Resident Evil,
yep,
and got them to make an action game starring Raiden. And
made Raiden kind of cool.
And then everyone liked Raiden.
Because he was this fucking crazy ninja.
We also see some HD collections coming out, because that's the period we're getting into now. So we got Metal Gear and Silent Hill HD collections, where in the Silent Hill one they completely ruin stuff by making the draw distance better, which removes the fog. Why would you do that? You need the fog. Yeah. People can
Although
see
apparently
stuff.
that was only on the Xbox. Like, the PlayStation, it got patched so the draw distances were reduced again.
Right.
But the patch was never given to the Xbox. Apparently Konami just went, nah.
Can't be bothered. They probably looked at how many people were actually playing it and said, no, you know what,
fuck that.
Don't do that. And then, oh Jesus, loads of shitty license games.
Usuals.
Doctor Who.
Oh my god.
Why is there a Doctor Who game? Or Bleach. A bunch of sports games. A lot of them, which are very only would have came out in Japan. But it's getting to be, once we get up into 2015, 16, 17, we're seeing like 2 releases a year.
Jeez.
And it's a baseball game and a football game.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we're kind of caught up to where we are now with Konami.
Almost. We're a generation behind. The one thing we'll link the 2 generations together. Just remember that Metal Gear 5 came out in the PlayStation 3.
Oh fuck yeah!
Both Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain. So that was like 2015. They did Metal Gear 5, and then that's where we start seeing just Pro Evo baseball, Pro Evo baseball.
Yeah, but we are gonna have to talk a wee bit here about Metal Gear 5. There was,
yeah. So
yeah,
Metal Gear 5 was being developed, a lot of shit happened.
A lot of shit.
A lot of stuff came out about the working conditions at Konami. We're talking about employees being tracked via cameras all over the place, people looking at them taking their breaks, how long they took, publicly shaming people who take too long.
Bloody hell.
And doing things like emails are all sort of randomly generated email addresses, and they change every month or so.
What? I don't understand.
Because they don't trust their employees. There's even stories going about where, say you were a game developer and you didn't have a project at the time, they would say, go clean those toilets.
Jesus.
You're a janitor now. Or go work. Konami has a big chain of gyms. I was like, you work in the gym now. It was like, but I'm a coder. Yeah. It's like, get to the gym.
I just worked on Lords of Shadows like a couple of years ago. Don't care, you've nothing to do, off to the gym.
Clean up them tiles.
Jesus Christ, hey.
Yeah.
And obviously during all this, the main man behind Metal Gear
was spending too much fucking money. Yeah, so that was around the time where you started seeing things like Kojima's name drop from Metal Gear 5 promotional stuff. His name wasn't on the box. Kojima Productions, I think, was moved as well with his own personal team. And then people kept asking, is he gone, or is he leaving Konami, or is he fired?
For long enough they denied it too, didn't
they?
They
kept saying no, he's fired, he's on holiday.
He's fine, he's on holiday. It's not suspicious at all.
I'm pretty sure I saw some weird fucking stage pictures of when he was leaving as well, like a leaving party thing where everyone was posed looking happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff was a shit show. And since then, so it was 2015 that Metal Gear 5 released. The full game anyway. And since then, of note, we've had this year, by the way, Metal Gear Survive. Which I forgot came out this year.
Yeah, that's of note.
That goddamn baseball game they keep making. Pro Evolution. Super Bomberman R.
Okay.
Zone of the Enders, The Second Runner Mars.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure that was a remaster.
It was,
And something called Mantis Burn Racing. That only released in Japan. So yeah, like, it'd be interesting, like, Metal Gear Survive. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah.
At the time, when they announced it on E3, and you're like,
what the hell?
What the hell? And I kind of think you can almost play it in your mind how this happened. As like, Kojima had spent a lot of money making Metal Gear. They had all these assets.
Yep.
Bunch of guys in a room was like, what can we do with all this stuff we paid all this money for to make more money out of it? I was like, well, there's the remnants of the team there. Put something together, and then you have this survival game.
Because survival games are hot at the moment. So
yeah, that too. We can do microtransactions. It'll be great.
Fucking hell. I mean, I've seen it being played, but Jesus, just looks. It just makes no sense either. It's like it's got the Metal Gear name slapped onto it, but it's like it has no. I'm not even talking story wise. I'm talking even just gameplay reminiscence of Metal Gear. Nothing.
It does. It's got the same engine, so it does actually play the same as Metal Gear 5, but there's nothing else really there. It's got the craft and stuff looks so shoehorned. I haven't played it myself because I wouldn't. Why would you?
You've too much self-respect.
But there's a very important other very negative sort of thing you have to attach to like the Kojima leaving.
Yep.
Is he was down for making the Silent Hill game
that could put Silent Hill back on the map.
And he was making it with Guillermo del Toro, his buddy in Hollywood. And if you ever seen any of his films, you could know he could do fucking monster design.
All big time.
It was gonna star Norman Reedus, yeah.
Yep.
And also they were going to get a manga author called Junji Ito to contribute to it as well, who is a very famous horror author. He does does real good fucking body horror, uncomfortable stuff. So that would have been amazing to see, and then they shit canned that as well.
You know what the weird thing was? Do you know, obviously, Matt Michelson has been attached to Kojima's new game, obviously.
Yeah.
He was actually supposed to be announced as the main baddie in Silent Hill. That was his thing.
That would have been a good choice.
Would have been a fucking fantastic choice as well. So, again, they just shit canned possibly the scariest game ever to be made.
Yeah. And I can't see us ever having another Silent Hill game.
No.
I can't see us ever having a Metal Gear game.
Here's the question. With the state Konami's in, would you want another Silent Hill game?
Probably not. So, their main interest at the minute seems to be, they're still doing mobile games, but those are mobile games.
Yeah.
Not to say they're any less. I play some mobile games myself, but it's you want a full game, and you don't want even the state, console and PC games are in at the minute. Mobile games are much more susceptible to being really exploitative if they're done in that way with microtransactions, free to play stuff. And they're, like I said, they have their other lines of business. They've got their gyms. They've got pachinko and slots, which are gambling machines, which is that's actually the last official Silent Hill thing they released was a pachinko machine.
Jesus. Isn't that depressing?
Do you remember they got everyone excited when they released these screens of Metal Gear 3 all redone? It's like, no, that's
shit.
For a pachinko machine.
Jesus Christ. It doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't make sense for a company that we have just went through having some of the biggest games of console generations. The Symphonies of the Nights, the original Metal Gear Solids, even the ISSs and things like that. This studio had some huge games behind it, and it's just kind of abandoned 90% of them now.
Yeah, but just to look at this from another angle, Kojima is, say what you want about him, people think he's a genius, people think he's overblown and whatever. His games aren't cheap.
No, they're not. That's damn straight.
And obviously with Metal Gear 5, he got, had to bring in Kiefer Sutherland. Could not have been cheap to record voice lines for Snake, and no one wanted him there. Everyone was like, bring back David Hayter, you twats. But so I'm thinking, it could have been that just broke them, the budget on that game, because I don't know anything about game design or anything, but I know enough to know really expensive.
Pretty sure the Metal Gears always made money though, didn't they?
They do make money, but it's all about margins.
That's true.
How much are we spending versus how much we're making? If you consider their sort of numbers, which I actually have here, so they have their net revenues 2014 to 2018, which in 2014 it's 217 billion yen. Yeah, billion yen.
Makes sense.
You can Google that and see how much that is in money you understand.
Real money.
It's a lot of money. In 2015, now this is when Metal Gear is released. It's 216. In 2016, it's 249. 2017.
Oh wait, numbers?
Back down again. In 2018, it goes to 39. But then when you consider what they actually made, so their income, so in 2014 it was 3.8 billion. In 2015, the year Metal Gear Solid 5 was released,
right,
9.9 went up.
Yep.
2016 then was 10.5, which you could say is sales that may have carried over.
Yep, that's true.
Now we move on to 2017. Their net revenues were lower. 249 the year before, 229. But their actual income was more than double.
Jesus.
26 billion. And then in 2018, it went up again to 30. So if you look at this from a business standpoint,
They've made it good.
They've done the right thing. But the sad thing is that means they're not interested in
Games
the
anymore?
games anymore.
So you're right then, we're definitely never going to see another Silent Hill or Metal.
Yeah, I really can't say based on that, because like a board looking at those numbers is going to go, yeah, keep doing this shit.
Makes you wonder though why they still make Pro and that baseball game.
I think a lot of the reason they were making Pro Evolution is because they had that UEFA license.
Oh yeah, of course.
They don't have that anymore. So let's see how long that lasts.
That's a good point. We could see the death of Pro very soon as well, so FIFA could be loving this.
They make so much money off mobile games.
That's true.
Especially in Asia. Yeah, it's sad to see that there's no one in that company with any influence that has any passion for video games. They seem very all about the business.
Oh man, that's a sad way to
definitely
finish up a big studio, like, you know.
Ended this on a very fucking sad note.
We kind of knew it was going to, though. Let's be honest. When we started this saying Konami, we knew this was not going to end on a happy note, you know.
But maybe that Castlevania mobile game they're releasing might be good. But how would you play it on the mobile? It's going to have those shitty mobile controls.
No, let's be honest. The best Castlevania game coming out soon is that Bloodstained one. And Kojima's going on to make, what's this called again? Death Stranding. So yeah.
So the guys that made the games that you love are still there making games, just not for Konami, and they won't be the same series. You can just sort of squint your eyes and pretend.
Yeah. There is one thing before we finish, though, that I'm surprised you did not bring up. I'm shocked at this.
I fucked up.
No. This is one thing that it's been kind of a big thing for. Well, it was a big thing for Konami.
Go then.
The Konami Code.
Oh yeah. That first appeared in Contra.
It did, yes.
There we go.
The Konami Code.
What is it?
Oh shit! That's gone. No, it's
up,
down,
left, right. BA start select.
Yes. That is the Konami Code.
I hope we got that right.
I hope we did.
We're going to look like an asshole.
Nobody's made it this far. We're an hour and 20 in.
I hope not.
Well, folks, thank you very much for joining us for Unscripted Episode 3, the very depressing history of Konami. No, it wasn't a depressing history. It's the depressing finish to Konami, I guess.
Let's go back and play their old games.
Yeah, everyone just go play Symphony of the Night, Metal Gear Solid 1. Sweet.
Silent Hill 2.
And Silent Hill 2, yeah. Don't forget Silent Hill 2, of course. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, and hopefully we'll see you very soon for another episode. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.